Welcome to your morning cup
with iBenz Academy.
I'm Kara.
And I'm Ash.
And we're Kash.
Hey.
What's different about today's podcast, Ashley?
We are recording on video, so you can see us.
Hey! First time ever. Very exciting.
Yes. We had to break through a little bit of firewalls around being visible.
Yes.
But we can see us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Nice work. All right. So this week, if you are subscribed to Inelia Benz's newsletter, if you are not subscribed, go to ineliabenz.com and subscribe to the newsletter. Mm-hmm. But she released a newsletter this week that was entitled, "Are You Still in Dark Games? Take this test to find out." So this is one of the things where for us, we loved it so much, this test, because it's such a great, insightful way to see, one, what open doors you might have to playing dark games, and then two, what open doors you have to staying high frequency and playing light games.
Yes.
So we wanted to explore it together, just amongst us, give our feedback and responses, but also we encourage you to join in with us as we ask these questions, to ask yourself and kind of take stock as well.
Yeah. You know those like online BuzzFeed tests of like, what celebrity do you look like? Or whatever. Well, this is like the high frequency version, and we thought it'd be super fun.
Yes.
And I love online tests, so
it'll
be great. So join with us.
All right. So
number one.
The first one is, and this is, are you still in dark games? Okay. So the first question is, do you stay loyal to someone even though they have hurt you or others?
No.
No.
I think I did that a long time ago, but I don't anymore.
No.
Yeah. No.
I definitely did that probably a long time ago. I don't know if that was ever one of my things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I was loyal when I shouldn't have been, out of like ego and martyr.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well.
Don't do that.
No. Do you have a very painful experience in your past that you believe made you who you are?
Ooh. A painful experience. No. I mean, lots of experiences, maybe, but like, I think it goes into that whole like, pain is good for you thing. And
I think there's been times where I've had that in the past, like, and actually, oddly enough, the experiences weren't necessarily from this life. Some of it was in this life, but mostly it was from like past lives.
That counts.
But I did a lot of processing, so no longer.
Yes.
Hey, I'm not carrying baggage from past lives. Like, I mean, that's a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
Not just this life, but past lives. Holy smokes!
I just found a program I have around this, which is a painful experience with my parents getting a divorce.
Oh, right.
Make me who I am today.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Note to process that later.
Yes. All right. Do you constantly feel worried for yourself, the world, things, or other people?
Not anymore.
No, I used to. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Like wake up in the morning, like 3 a.m. just like.
What made you worried about the world or whatever?
When I used to listen to the radio, in particular, if you're in the U.S., you know what NPR is.
Oh, yeah.
Public radio.
NPR.
Yes, because I was a good citizen, you know, wanted to know what was going on in the world.
Same, yeah.
Yes. So I get stressed about stuff like that, but then I realized it was like constantly the same thing over and over again. And I also used to worry about things like work or other people and situations and stuff. But what I found is the more I did the fear processing exercise and the more I like processed those fears that were like really at the core of those worries, the more that dropped. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, there's certain like exercises to do before bed. You know, set yourself up for success. Because that was for me, it was like the biggest time those worries would come in. Is like those really early morning hours. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Circa 2008, I had a lot of worry. Mm-hmm. Worry about war and the stock market crash and like everything's gone to hell. You know, there was a lot of that. And then it was around that time I started to wake up in the sense of like, oh, a lot of this is like orchestrated. Mm-hmm. Orchestrated not only by the human collective, but literally by like a group of people. Could call them like the Illuminati or the Cabal or whatever, but then I thought, oh, okay, there's more to this than I thought.
Yeah.
And then actually that kind of changed the worry in a way, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. But like you mentioned, lots of processing, dropping of low frequency programs, that helped a lot. So I
that makes a big difference.
Don't worry about that stuff anymore. But
and
for a
also
long time,
filtering what you have coming in.
Yes, like the news,
like not paying attention to the news, like the mass news, because like it's just fear driven. Like it's very fear driven, and then promotes that within yourself. At least in my experience of it, and it's like if I don't pay attention to that stuff, what is there to worry about?
Yeah.
Life is great.
Yeah, same.
You know? It might not be great for everybody else, but that's their choice.
Yeah.
They want to feed into it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I almost had the opposite situation where I didn't watch the news a lot, but I did follow the alternative media, which is like exploring all those things I mentioned, like the cabal, the Illuminati, blah, blah, blah. And it was informative up to a point, but then it just became fear porn.
Yes.
And it was just all about how you should be worried about everything.
And disclosure.
Disclosure, you're a victim. And it's like, and then I just stopped.
Too much.
I just stopped. Yeah. And that helped a lot. So, not anymore. Yay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good job.
That's good. Good.
All right. Do you sometimes worry about what other people think or feel about you, and you want them to like and or love you?
All the time.
I'm like... Is it, are we good? Did we do well? I'm just kidding. Yeah, that totally. Oh, and if for those of you who aren't watching, we're just like checking ourselves out in the camera.
Look in the mirror.
Yeah. So yes, that's definitely something that comes up. It's been way better. Than what it used to be.
It's true.
For sure.
But the ego, the injured ego is pretty much at the core of that.
Pretty much. Yeah. Ego exercise. So Ascension 101, there's a class at ineliabenz.com called Ascension 101. And there's an ego exercise on that.
Yes.
That really helps to heal the ego.
So much.
Yeah. Because then you start to realize, actually, it's irrelevant what other people think.
Yeah. And most of the time, 99.9% of the time, they're just thinking about themselves anyway. So they don't care.
It's so easy, right?
Yeah.
So.
That got still progress, but still needs some work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Do you enjoy negative, destructive gossip? No.
So I was looking at this one because at first I was like, no. And then I realized that I did gossip at my corporate job. So corporate gossip.
Yeah.
So not like so much our people and our friends and like, none of that. But
I get it.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I
can't believe they did that, and that's so stupid. What decision was that for?
Yeah, so
I get it.
This is super helpful because it helped me see that program was running even unconsciously, and now I can nip it in the bud and move on. Yes. So
I definitely I'm around people who like to have that gossip. So there's like not always, but some people who it's like there's definitely opportunities to take the hook.
Yes.
To take the bait.
It's delicious.
But typically, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. Just because it's like boring. Like, tell me something more interesting.
Yeah.
Like
it really is just an addiction to drama. So.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one to process. If you haven't processed
addiction to drama,
or I like drama. Drama's fun. Drama's interesting. Definitely, that helps. I've done a lot of processing on that too.
Yeah, that's
not dramatic at all.
Yeah. You're just you.
All right. All right. Do you badmouth someone when they are not in the room?
Do I badmouth
sometimes
when they're not in the room?
Sometimes, but not often.
I think this has gotten better, but I have been guilty of this one.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm like ego triggered and like.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If I'm feeling triggered and righteous.
Yeah.
The righteousness, like it's kind of like fueling like. Let me tell you what happened because I'm so right and they were just so wrong. Can you believe it? No, exactly.
Yeah.
That does happen sometimes. It's not often, fortunately, and also because we're just surrounded by really awesome people.
That's true.
So it makes it difficult to be able to do that. How do you badmouth somebody who's awesome?
But yeah, I think I just did this like 5 minutes ago.
Did you?
When I was talking about something that happened at work. Oh. I have like a nickname.
I think you were bad-mouthing. Oh, it's the nickname.
I give someone a nickname that's not
a nice nickname.
It's not nice. So. Yeah.
But you were talking about like, I just realized I still have a trigger around this and I need to process it. So it was like, it wasn't so much bad-mouthing. It was more like acknowledging. And the trigger was part of the fact that you had this name.
Yes. There's more to unpack there. Yeah. More to process.
That's good. So good seeing.
Yeah, it's good to see these things.
See, when you have other people, allies to share with. Yeah. Expanding your awareness.
It's true.
Oh my gosh. Do you self-deprecate?
Yes.
Totes.
This is another big one for me.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like my own worst enemy, which is terrible. Like, it's a terrible program.
In thought and also in jokes. I joke a lot about myself sometimes. It's like insulting.
It's just not good.
Yeah.
We love our bodies. It's okay. And, we're pretty awesome.
We're cool people.
Yeah.
No one else needs to think we are, but we are.
But we don't have to be unkind to ourselves.
Exactly.
Because that is just useless and not helpful on any level.
And I would say that probably also ties to ego. Mm-hmm. Do some ego work on that.
Injured ego.
Yeah.
It's true.
Are you constantly arguing with other people? I used to argue with everybody, like all the time, I feel like. It was pretty common.
Didn't you say that was like the standard to your family communication?
It's pretty normal. Yeah. It was like nothing was at face value. Like, oh, that's a good idea. It was like, no, we're gonna debate.
Yes,
which is the nice way of saying we're gonna argue it.
Yeah, arguing. I think I'm getting better on this. There's still a lot of practice, especially if I get righteously ego triggered. Then it can turn into an argument of like, I'm gonna be right and make you wrong. Then it becomes an argument. Whereas if I like take a step back and I really consciously respond and then just like set clear boundaries or communicate how I'm feeling, then that's different. But it's such a slippery slope. Like instantly it could go from one to the other. So I think, maybe I just only work on that one.
Yeah, I found that one, like, the more I've worked on my, like, being righteous, which is, it's not gone, but, like, the more I work on that, the less I have to make the point, It's like, I'll say it, and, like, half the time people don't even hear it, and that's fine. It's like, all right, okay. Well, if you don't want to hear it, no big deal.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like, arguing really is like, that righteousness energy. Yeah. Right? I'm right, you're wrong, and that's the whole argument.
It's like having that attachment to, like, my point has to get across. You have to hear me. You have to understand me. You have to agree with me or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, you don't.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do you feel angry and upset at what you see is the violation of Earth or humanity?
Not anymore.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Not anymore. I used to.
Me too.
Yeah, I used to think like we're just terrible parasites on the planet. We're destroying the earth.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe that anymore.
No. That was a big program. Like climate change or global warming or like the destruction of this, that, and the other. Or like humanity, crimes against humanity, war, and like torture and suffering. And then I discovered Inelia Benz's work and learned all about the victim-aggressor cycle and how actually there are no victims truly at the end of the day. Yeah. It's a really good article. We'll link it in the show notes so you can read about it.
Yeah, that makes such a difference, right? And then the humanity aspect, I guess I just was listening to the news and thought people were just terrible, or like there's like that kind of, what do they call it, woke? Like, at least in the United States, like this liberal kind of like movement. And I was definitely in that, like, people are ignorant, they just don't understand, and they're not,
there are these injustices.
Yeah.
Injustice on the planet, and they're not doing anything about it.
But it's all very victim-aggressor and righteous and all these things. And then, like, funny enough, it's like years later and, like, processing through that stuff, it's like I actually, like, there's things that I identify with that would have been more on, like, the conservative side, or you know what I mean? That before I was like, oh, that's evil.
Yeah, seriously.
So it's really funny because it doesn't matter. Like, it's like one side or the other. It's all divisive. Yeah. Separation.
Yeah. So not anymore.
Not
that
anymore.
Was a big
but
one,
yeah, that was a big
one.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like, talk to me about guns. Talk to me about like marijuana. Is like, I have opinions. All right. Not anymore. In your opinion, are people who are subjugated or conquered victims individuals that we need to save?
I think this is very related to that last point.
I think so too.
It's like, all those people, gosh, we need to go help them and save them. They can't save themselves. And that just like feeds the victim energy, right?
I think what really helps in that is remembering like there's people who've been through insane things, like stuff we could never even imagine in their life, and they are killing it. Like they're doing an amazing job in their life. They're like living to their potential, and they don't talk about it. They don't like need to like dwell on like, oh well, this is what happened to me, like let me live from that perspective. Instead it's like I'm driven, I have goals, and I'm achieving it, and that's what people know them by. You know, and that to me, like that's like just a perfect example of why it's a choice. You know, and I think people do it to each other too, where it's like, oh, you had this terrible thing, oh poor you.
I know, that's funny.
You like projected it.
Yeah, and that story goes both ways. Like, oh, that person is such a nice, good person because they were traumatized when they were a child. Or, oh, that person is so mean and terrible, but it's okay because they were traumatized as a child. It's like,
oh, that person.
So which one is it?
Yeah.
It's a choice, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I think in the past, again, that righteous energy, trying to like save the planet, I was definitely trying to save the collective, to wake up, you know, and all these things for many years. But then just realized like it's actually a game, and it's the Matrix, and we're here out of our own free conscious choice or unconscious choice. And that's fine. So we don't need to save people.
Yeah, I think the realization of the choice, and then also that, you know, don't assume we know better than their higher self. Inelia has said that so many times. Like, don't assume you know better than someone else's higher self. So it's like if they chose to be in the light dark paradigm and they want to have dark experiences, it doesn't matter what we do because it's not compatible. You know, it's like, so us saving them isn't actually saving them. It's just feeding that light dark paradigm for them.
And that we know better and all these things.
Exactly.
In the dark light paradigm, though, I did love to save people.
Yeah.
It was great.
I know. I get it.
But that's not the game anymore. Or at least the game we've chosen. So we can't do that. So
it's just also not interesting anymore.
Yeah, there's cooler stuff to know.
If you want to do that, I mean, by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
You know, but
I'm good.
Not with me.
Bought the t-shirt. I'm good.
Yep. Are you stressed?
Sometimes.
Very rarely.
That's good. Good job.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it used to be a lot. But like that ties back to the one earlier about the worry.
Yeah.
Like waking up in the middle of the night. I used to like clench my jaw and had to sleep with a mouth guard or something they call it. Yeah, because I would like, you know, because there's so much like tension in my body.
Wow, that is.
And I was doing a lot of yoga and a lot of meditation, and still,
it's still a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what is the core was the fear, right?
Yeah.
So processing that.
Yeah, I find that when I get stressed, it's when like my awareness shrinks, not in a good way. It's either like out of engaging or indulging in low frequency stuff, or just letting the chicken scratches get to me, you know, like worry about something or stress that something's not going the right way, when that's like such a small, narrow minded kind of thing. So, but when I step out of that, then it's not a thing. Stress isn't even a thing. It's like the opposite. It's like there's magic and orchestration and beauty, and it's like, wow, this planet is amazing.
Right.
But so it can definitely, you know, waver.
Ebb and flow.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday I had a moment, like probably for a few hours, where I was feeling like what would be stress, but not to the degree like I used to identify with stress or used to experience it, but it was stress. And it was financial. And it's funny because I literally just received money, and then like all of a sudden I got stressed that I didn't have enough money.
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I mean? Like, it was like instant. But then I was looking at it, I'm like, you know, why am I feeling stressed about money right now? Like if I just look at it from like expanded awareness, I actually don't need to be stressed. But why, like, where's this coming from? And I was like kind of tracing it back, like, oh, okay, I didn't sleep as well last night. Oh, I went out to eat the night before and I ate some food that definitely was like from a frequency level, not high frequency, and connecting to that, the energy of like how it was made and where the animal came from and all, you know, it's just like I lost integrity there for myself. I was like, oh, okay. And then, you know, just what does my body need right now? She needs some fresh air. So, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to process this fear. So Yeah, it's like now it's a different experience where before it was like you can't, you're so in it, like entrenched, you can't see. What did they say? Like the forest through the trees?
Oh, yeah. You can't see the path through the forest.
I think it's the forest.
Whatever.
Somebody maybe will tell us in the comments what the saying is. So it's like you're so entrenched in it, you don't see it from a bigger perspective. But once you get used to expanding your awareness, you get used to doing this processing, you can start to become curious of like, where's that coming from? Is that even mine? You know?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it is mine because there's this X, Y, and Z. Oh, yeah, I can process that. Or, no, that's not completely mine. I was just hanging out over by that 5G tower, and now, you know, I've got some tension, anxiety built up. So,
yeah.
But it's good to be able to become curious and expand your awareness on it, because then you're no longer just like a victim to it.
Yep.
You can have choices, and you can also recognize like, oh shoot, yeah, that was my bad. I ate the wrong food. I shouldn't have eaten it. Yep. It's true. Or just know, okay, next time I'm going to eat that food. That's just part of the consequence. Yeah. I'm going to have to deal with that.
Do it with eyes wide open. Yeah. Well, fortunately, Inelia Benz just released a new stress processing exercise. So if you are feeling stressed, that is an amazing tool that you can use.
All right. Are you unable to express yourself because it upsets other people if you do?
Yes.
I know. This probably is on the list. I think this is probably the biggest one for me that still lingers.
Yeah.
Which people don't think it, because I can be quite blunt.
Expressive,
yes. But true. When I'm really triggered about something or bothered or something of that sort, like I tend to just, I go quiet.
Yeah. Same. When I am struggling to share my emotions, either because I don't know how to or because I'm afraid of what people will think.
Yeah.
It's like clam up, shut down. Although I've been really working on that one the last couple of weeks, especially. So it's getting better. Yeah. But that's a really clear indication of what we need to focus on.
Yes. So. Yes. Yeah, I've been noticing that too in the last couple of weeks. So it's interesting. You've been working on it as well, because it's been in my field also. And looking at it from a perspective of when I get like that and I don't want to share or talk, and I just like shut down because I'm like, it's like a fear that what I say is going to cause some type of negative reaction. And then now I'm going to have to like deal with that negative reaction, which is like not fair, because that's, you know, projecting or metagaming onto somebody else. One. Yeah. Right. And two, it's also like not really owning, at least for me, is like in those situations, not really owning how I feel and what's going on. Right. It's true. And knowing also that it can change. Yeah. You know, it's like, because I feel this way right now doesn't mean it's the absolute forever.
And even if someone does get upset by like sharing how you feel or something, that's their choice. They have that right. They have that right too.
For sure. It's true.
Just because they have a reaction or feel something themselves doesn't mean we have to like take it personally or that it's our fault or
we have to fix it and be responsible for it.
Exactly. It's the same thing. They have the right to express how they want to express it.
Yeah, that's such a key point to it. So. Okay. So we've still got some things we're working on. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So yes.
Use the tools.
Maybe you can join us in that as we keep working on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's set intention to work on this together. That'd be great.
Yes. So the other one is from a perspective of how would we say this? We are embodying the light paradigm. Yes. Yeah? Okay. So are you embodying the light paradigm? Here it is. You have strong and kind and loving boundaries.
So this is the solution to that other first point, right? So rather than that, okay, we have strong, kind, and loving boundaries. Yes. And that's really important, because by having strong boundaries, not only is it like a response, right? Communication of this is what's important to me or what I need. It's like being very clear and transparent. And kind and loving is important too, right? You can set healthy boundaries with someone without, you know, being a jerk and doing it in a kind and loving way. And that can be a really compassionate thing to do with other people as well. Yep. So, yeah.
I would say I do, but I think the kind and loving boundaries, that part sometimes is like, I'm working on that still, you know?
Same. Practice.
Practice with it. Yeah. So good. Being kind and loving with those strong boundaries. Okay. You no longer carry the burden of victimhood or aggression, but have released the weight of past experiences, allowing you the energy and enthusiasm you carried before it happened. Yeah.
You no longer carry the burden of victimhood or aggression. You know, I think there's been a lot of progress here, but every once in a while, like something kind of slips up, you know? Like if that were true for me right now, I wouldn't have said yes or kind of in the other statements, you know? So I think there are still like laces of that, which is good to look at, although it's way better than where it was. But yeah, I think releasing the weight of past experiences, identified that program, even having this conversation, got to do that. And allowing the energy and enthusiasm you carried before it happened. That's a very interesting concept. One of the things that Larry and Inelia were sharing in this article was, what were you like before that traumatic situation or event? Well, you didn't have the traumatic situation in the event, right? So you had that bright, shiny light, that enthusiasm, that joy. And we can go back to that state before that story happened. So that's really interesting. That's very empowering.
Yeah, I would say this one for me is like a pretty, well, not a strong 100%, but like definitely a stronger yes than no, if that makes sense. But with it, I would say that one of the things I was processing in the last several weeks was looking at the desire to be a victim. And I didn't even know that was there. I was just like, wait a minute. Because it's like that desire, at least what was the purpose it served was to set myself up to be a victim in certain situations, which then like satisfied that program, you know? So there was that desire, which kept it in place. So I was like, first of all, what? I want to be a victim? It's like, okay, all right. But not getting righteous or judgmental about it and just processing that. And that has really been a cool exploration.
Yeah.
Then seeing the bait come in, it's like, oh no, but I don't want to be a victim.
Right?
Nope, not going to agree to that. Okay.
Such a game changer. Because if we didn't have the desire to be a victim or an aggressor, we wouldn't be. So if we are in situations in our life, then that desire is there.
Right.
So, wow. Yeah, that's really powerful.
All right. So there is no worry in your life. You know and trust in your and other people's higher self choices and can navigate life in an empowered and conscious manner.
That just feels nice even hearing it. Yeah, I feel like this is one of those things that ebbs and flows. Like, if I'm covering my bases, you know, like doing my daily practice, staying in high frequency. It's like I was saying before, when you see magic and orchestration and like just the amazingness of this reality that we're experiencing. It's just so cool. And then you also see how everyone and everything is also a divine conscious being and an eternal divine being and has made these choices to be where they are today. And it's like, that's really cool. Like, think of like all the things that had to happen in order for this to occur. You know, that's all higher self choices. And yeah, it's really cool.
I would say, I'm embodying this knowing and this trust more and more. I remember it was like, I think several months ago in mystical training, and Inelia had said something to me around along the lines of like, step out of survival and move into trust. And so meaning, like, context was like, step out of survival, like, I need to get money, I have to be able to pay my bills, how am I going to do that? And if the economy crashes, and then, you know, the scarcity on food and all these things, right? So that's like a survival mindset. But if you move into trust and knowing that the human collective absolutely loves you and adores you. We love you and we adore you.
It's true.
It's true. But the human collective, we love you and adore you. And we're going to make sure that you have what you need. And Gaia, like the entire planet is full of material for us to survive.
And thrive.
Flourish, So it's like, stepping out of that and move into that trust, into that knowing. And I would say this one I'm like stepping into more and more, and it feels really cool. Like, and also helpful, validating when those moments come up that, I need something, and then boop, there it is.
I know. So cool.
Here's your opportunity. Don't worry about it. We got you covered.
Yeah.
And so like I always like take kind of a pause of gratitude in those moments. Like, oh, that's super cool. Thank you, Human Collective. Thank you, Gaia. Like, I'm so like just acknowledging it to keep that awareness open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing and trusting. That's so powerful.
All right. You are able to express yourself in your full light without worry or concerns. We're here. We're getting there.
Yeah. We're getting
not
there.
that there's not firewalls and roadblocks along the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good goal. Like, fully express ourselves in our full light without worry or concern. Definitely getting easier.
Yes.
Practice. And, having that as a clear focus is cool. So I feel like there's some work to be done, but it's definitely achievable.
Yeah.
And can happen at any time, too.
And imagine if we were all just expressing ourselves in our full light without worry or concerns. Like, how incredible those connections would be, and how beautiful this planet, like, and our experience would be.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
We're just, like, dumbing it down right now.
That's so true.
What
a cool daydream.
Right?
So what would the planet look like if you were fully expressing your light without worry or concerns? What would your life look like? What would your life be like? What would the planet be like? Whoa.
I don't even have words for it. Holy smokes.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool.
That's amazing.
All right. You can see and identify gossip for what it really is, and can change the subject to a supportive energy for the person being talked about.
I have seen other people do this with amazing skill and craft. And have you ever heard of the martial art Aikido? So for those who are unfamiliar, it's basically a martial art where you redirect the energy. So if like someone like throws a punch, you like step out of the way and like navigate it, So rather than punching back, it's like you respond, right? It almost feels like that to me when I've seen this happen. Like someone is talking bad about someone else and someone goes, in fact, I've seen you do this several times, and it's really amazing to watch because go, maybe that person, we don't know how they're actually feeling or thinking. So is there something that we can do to, help them in this situation instead, or whatever, right? But it's such a like subtle thing, and yet so powerful and amazing to see. And it's really, I think, a really important, empowering tool to have for us and to practice.
It's nice to be conscious of. I didn't really know I did that.
You do. Yeah, I've seen it. It's super cool.
I think the thing for me on this one is if I've got chicken scratches on the topic, then I feel like then the turning it around can be harder.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
But at the same point, I always try to remember, like, what if this person, like, was here?
Yeah.
If this person was here, or this conversation was, like, relayed to this person, how
would it change?
And not that, like, now I'm going to change it and I'm going to be pretend, like, fake and not say what I really feel because I'm going to not want to, like, hurt their feelings. Not that energy, but more like, if this person was here, I would say things with more compassion and kindness and understanding to their perspective. Versus, like, if they're not here, it's really easy to, like, jump into assumptions and into righteousness and all these things because they're not even there to, like, really consider them as a human in the situation.
Yeah.
Right? But when they're there, it's like, for me at least, it's like, I can't do that. Like, of course they have a perspective. Of course they have an opinion. Or of course there's, like, something that might be going on that I have no idea what it is.
Yeah. It's so interesting how the words we say, or what the words we choose, or how we say something can change if someone's, like, physically there or not.
Yeah.
When actually it's, like, all energy and frequency, and it's the same regardless, But it's true, like, as our social programs, do change as a result. So it's like, why not make that the default?
Right.
Then it's just kinder and better for everyone.
I remember when I was younger, I was probably in like middle school. So if you aren't familiar with what middle school is, like junior high, like grade 6 to grade 8, something
before
like that.
High school.
Before
right?
high school. Yeah. So, you're probably about like 11 to 13, something like that. And, I remember watching Oprah in the afternoon, and there's an actress, Susan Sarandon, was on her show, and this was like, obviously it stuck with me. She was talking about how she had a young daughter who was having sleepovers, and her girlfriends would come over and they'd sleep over at their house, and she noticed that the girls would just talk about other people the whole time. That was like how they engaged. So she set a rule that like during these sleepovers, she like challenged them to not talk about anybody else. And that they had to do other things. And it really had an impact on me because I was like, oh my gosh, that's what my sleepovers are like. I mean, it might be we're talking about the boys we like or this or that, but like it was always like talking about other people, and that was like a way to connect. But it was talking about other people in like a negative way that was a way to connect. And I realized through that and what she was sharing is like, oh wow, that's like a really kind of like yucky way to connect with other people. There's so many more beautiful ways to connect.
It's true. And this is an important point because that is a way, like talking about and checking in on like the tribe and seeing how people are doing is a natural and healthy way that the collective connects and expresses. It feels like the gossip is the hijack. Yeah. And when it becomes us versus them, victim aggressor or righteous, that's like the hijack.
Give me an ego hit. We're going to make them feel bad. Right. It makes me feel better,
Right. When really like the healthy dynamic of that is like, oh, hey, what's going on over there? Oh, yeah. I wonder if I could like help her put her fence together or something. Or, oh, how are the chickens doing? Do you know if such and such fed the chickens? Oh, yeah, I think he did yesterday. That's like such a different thing than...
I noticed the garden isn't doing so well. I wonder if they need our help. Yeah. Maybe we should talk to them about that.
Exactly.
Not like, oh, can you look
Can't believe them.
The garden, they're like letting it go green or brown. I don't know. It's like, whatever gardens do when they're not healthy. But like, there could be this whole thing of like, oh, they just let it go. They don't care, obviously. When really, maybe there's just like, I'm really busy right now. I don't have the time for it, or I don't have the interest anymore. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
it's like if you see that negative gossip and can identify it for what it is and then turn it into that supportive energy, that is such a cool, like amazing skill that I think we could all benefit and use and practice.
Yep. Yeah. All right. You are able to express to the person how you feel about things and don't need others to hear it. I'd say usually, but I think this goes back to that other one. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to express right now because sometimes it's street smart because I'm like, I'm triggered, so I should process that before I express. But the worry about like how other people might feel about it or interpret it, like that's the hook.
This one's so interesting because on the first part is you are able to express to the person how you feel about things. It's like that's almost goes back to like number one of like setting healthy boundaries or doing, being clear and clean about what you need, let's say, in a healthy and supportive way. And then the second part, that you don't need others to hear it. That's interesting because I know for me there have been times where I like need an ego hit or an ego validation, like, come on, people, see how awesome I am, which is not the same thing. But at the other side of it, being able from a healthy place to say or express something how I'm feeling is different than needing other people's to say it to me. Yeah. So that's a really cool distinction and really powerful to unpack, honestly.
For sure.
Gotta practice that one too.
All right, the next one. You're able, capable, strong, and aware. Totally.
Yeah, you are, girl.
We are.
It's true.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I have more to say than yes, 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 and yes.
Yeah. Definitely know this.
Yeah.
And,
sometimes I forget.
It's true.
Sometimes I forget, and I'm like, oh, but this thing, like shrunken awareness. And then I remember, oh, wait, yeah, but I mean, I'm a mystic. I'm awake. I'm able. I'm capable. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. This is nothing.
I feel like this is the definition of empowerment.
Yeah.
You are able, capable, strong, and aware.
Yep. There you go.
There you go. Yep. It's true, by the way.
Love it. Yes. There is no longer a need for you to be right and make others wrong. Usually, but sometimes it's just so right and other people are just so wrong.
Gosh, righteousness. This is one I've been working on for a while, several years. It's definitely gotten better. Mm-hmm. But the key is, like, as a light worker, especially, like, you're right. We know we're right, especially for the experience that we want to have. But it's that second you step into making someone else wrong, you've gone to war. It's over. It's like, oh, man. Mm-hmm. But it can be so easy and unconscious. It's like a bad habit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it's definitely, like, kind of like taking off the gloves, because if you're, like, if somebody else, let's say, is being righteous to me, like, you don't understand, this is what it is. It's like, my instinct wouldn't be to not back down and be like, well, no, that's wrong. Like, X, Y, Z is right. But it's almost like better just in those scenarios, dependent on the dynamic. But sometimes it's just like, yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. I guess that's true. Yep. Yeah. That's interesting perspective. Or, you know, like, because it's true for them. It's like, that's an interesting perspective. I'm going to think about it more. Yeah. Or, you know, just something that's, like, not invalidating their experience, because it is true for them.
Right.
It is right for them. So to argue it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I think what's helped me with this, especially in how it connects to going back to expressing how you feel in, like, a healthy way, it's rather than, like, tell someone they did something wrong or they're wrong, you, like, own the parts that you feel. So, for example, like, okay, well, I feel this way, so it feels like this is, I'm trying to think of a good situation or example, but it's like, it feels like to me that this is blah, 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 as opposed to saying, like, no, that's not how it is. This is how it is. It's like, you don't want to invalidate the other person, but at the same time, like, acknowledge how you're feeling about something, but both can be true, you know? And, like, that's a really interesting thing to navigate. So owning how you feel without making the other person wrong, like, that is a really key skill as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Next one.
Yes.
Okay. You understand that Earth, Gaia, and the human collective don't make mistakes.
This one's so cool.
I think so too.
It's so cool.
Is so super cool.
Like, I didn't even know this was true until, like, I heard it for the first time from Inelia, probably a couple of years ago. I'm not sure when. But when I truthed it, I was like, yeah, it's like the whole higher self orchestration thing.
Yes.
You know, and it totally changes everything. Like, there are, like, Gaia does not make mistakes.
Yeah.
And the human collective does not make mistakes. We are orchestrating everything as we have decided to do.
Yes.
Consciously. And it's like, oh, that changes everything.
It's so cool. I love, like, to me, it's just fun to, like, trace back to orchestrations of things that have happened in the past, and, like, how this thing did to that, and it's like, wow, like, all these people, all these opportunities, and, you know, maybe, like, option 1, A, B, and C didn't work, but D worked. You know, who knows? Because people have free will, right? They might choose, yeah, not me this time. I'm gonna go the other way. But it's like seeing those orchestrations. It's like a symphony, you know? And it's so freaking cool to go back and look at it and, like, watch that and pay attention as it's, like, unfolding and noticing, like, what data is coming into you from the human collective and Gaia, what opportunities are around. And, like, it's like people look at the synchronicities. It feels like it's not just synchronicities, but, like, it's just, like, starting to be aware of things as data.
Yeah.
What is that data? Why is this information coming to me? Is it for me? Does it have any significance, right, or importance right now? Maybe, maybe not. But just, like, taking note. that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then when it starts to add up more and more, the Inelia's book, The Earth Files. So if you haven't read it. But
so good.
One of the characters does this, and it's described really well in the book, how she like looks at what's going on in the human collective and pulling out things from newspapers and articles and things like that. But it's a really cool way to kind of map to what it is I'm describing in more detail. So read The Earth Files.
I think it was The Return that came up.
Was it The Return?
Yeah.
Okay. Read The Return.
Just read both. They're great. They're so good.
We'll link the right one in the show notes.
Yes.
All right. Now you see that thinking of a person or people as a victim disempowers them, and you have the tools to help them step out of the energy instead of propagating it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Totally.
Yep. That's a big reason why we do these podcasts.
Yes.
And do the work we do.
That's true. Yeah. I think the one piece on this that like is sticky for me is that you help them step out of the energy instead of propagating it. And to me, like, it's always like, feels like a fine line. Like, of course, in this situation, this dynamic, we're on a podcast right now, or we're writing our newsletter, or we're working with our mentorees, or we're working with people like who are asking and open to this information. Yes, totally. But I have some sleepy people in my life that might want these things that sometimes it's like, am I going to send them a link to the fear processing every time?
Oh, like they're not interested.
They're not interested. Like they haven't taken the bait. Like hey, there's this thing. And they're just like, anyway, there's butterfly, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the where, when, and how. Like, to me, it's like, yes, if there's like a receptiveness. Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
I'm not making assumptions to people. But.
Totally. I've had this come up before too with like I have an old friend who she's always got something going on in her life that's drama, you know. And there was one time where she's like, Kara, what do I do? Like, I don't understand. What do I do? And I'm like, well, here's what you can do. And I sent them the link to the fear processing exercise, or Ascension 101. I can't remember. One of the basic tools of the iBenz method. And I was like, look, I've been doing this for years. I swear by it. Like, it works. It helped me transform my life. And like, look, you can see, like, really different than where I was, 10 years ago, right? But I don't think she ever followed up on it, you know? And then on the other side, I had the same thing happen to another friend who was really interested. And she did follow up on it and do the fear processing exercise. So it's like, I think that's good data, like giving them the opportunity of like, look, you're not a victim. If you want to change, here's a way that worked for me. Yeah. And it's up to them to decide if they want it.
If it works or not for what they want.
Right. Yeah. But for that friend who didn't, I don't push it. Yeah. Because I take that as a signal of like, okay.
Yeah. I detect a little bit of a resistance, a firewall in that for me. Like, I don't want to be preaching to people. I don't want to like force them to do something they don't want to do or whatever. So interesting data to look at.
Yep.
All right. You have learned and used the stress relief exercise, and it has changed your life. Also formerly known as the fear processing exercise. Yes, 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 and yes.
Yes, definitely.
I remember when I first started using the fear processing exercise, I was on vacation in Colorado. My sister had lived in Colorado Springs, and I was staying at her place there, and she lived in the country. It's gorgeous property. And I was like set, like, okay, gonna do this fear processing exercise, like, but it was like a big deal. It was a big deal because I had to like just so many firewalls to get it done. It was like an all-day thing, like just to get myself to be able to sit down and do it. And then sitting down, it was like, am I doing it right? I don't think I'm doing it right. That was like the first probably 20 times. I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. But then what do? I don't know if I'm doing this right. You're welcome here. You know, is this right? Is this wrong? You're welcome here. Doubt, you're welcome here. You know? And I had to learn that over time and like keep listening to Inelia's description of it on like, she has a recording at IneliaBenz.com. There's a video of her doing this with individuals in a group setting on her YouTube channel. And so it like had to keep re-engaging it. And then before I knew it, it was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this like in my sleep. This is like normal now.
Right.
Like fear comes up, or replace it with another, stress or anger or anxiety, whatever it is. It's like, oh, okay. Yep. Where's that in my field? And go on from there. It's like quick and easy.
Yep. Yeah, I can't say it enough just how effective the fear processing exercises and the newly released stress relief exercise. Literally did it this morning.
Yep.
It's just like one of those things. Just do it until there's no more fear in your life.
Yep.
But it works.
It totally does.
Peeling back those layers.
Yes.
But yes.
It makes a big difference. It's almost like, I imagine it like, you know how people have dreadlocks in their hair? Like they don't ever brush their hair and then they get dreads. It's like that. That's how I envision it. If I would never process my stress or process my fear, like my energies of it would just get like so stuck and like sticky and
Some people like that look.
Yeah. I don't like that look. Not like for other people. I just mean for me.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's true.
I digress.
They are energies that stick to you. So it's a way to release them.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. Okay. Kara, are you able to express yourself to your full potential and know it supports others to see it?
Yes. Woo! How about you, Ash?
Yes.
You are able to express yourself to your full potential and know it supports others to see it. Yes. Also, timely why we decided to have a video.
We're here.
Yay. It's good to see these things because, at least from our experience, like we know these tools work. We know how they can change our life. We felt it. We've experienced it. We've seen it in others.
Yes.
And it's like, that like seeing like the success stories and learning from others who have gone through it, like you can copy, you can map to that, and it supports the person. It's like that's how we learn, actually.
Yep.
And that's why we do what we do.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yep. Because we're on this journey.
Yeah.
Too.
It's so cool.
So thank you for joining us for our first video in our podcast recording on this episode, and we will have more videos coming out in the future, so make sure to follow us on YouTube because that's where you're going to see the videos. That's iBenz Academy, and I think that's it for today.
Thanks for joining us on our list. We would love to hear in the comments any insights you have had reading the list, either the one that's more on the negative side and the one with the solution. So share us with the comments, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.